Dieu m'a aimé, il m'a choisi. Je viens de lui, je vais à lui.
February 9, 1975. The walls of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome resounded with the singing of the Sistine Choir. This was no ordinary day. Pilgrims came from all over the world to witness Pope Paul VI proclaim Mère Marie-Eugenie Milleret blessed. From that day onwards, the Assumption family would celebrate March 10 as the Feast of Blessed Marie-Eugenie, beloved foundress of the Religious of the Assumption, a woman of faith and action, a woman who dared to be holy. Daring to be holy requires courage and passion. It means actively pursuing moral and spiritual excellence in everyday life. This was at the very core of Marie-Eugenie's belief. This was the wellspring of her zeal, the source of her passion. Born in 1817 to an affluent family, Anne Marie-Eugenie Milleret grew up in a household in which intellectual growth was encouraged. Her parents were not very religious, but they were socially and politically involved. She lived at a time of social upheaval in France, exposed to and disturbed by the deep divisions between the rich and the poor. Industrialization swept Europe, and social discrimination was apparent between men, women, and children in the labor force. It was a time of confusion brought about by new philosophies, liberties, and political change. It was amidst this chaos that God worked out His plan in Marie-Eugenie's life. When she made her first Holy Communion, God made Himself known to her in her heart. In later years, she often spoke of this communion as a fundamental experience, her encounter with God.
J'ai été saisie de l'infinie grandeur de Dieu et de mon extrême petitesse. J'ai éprouvé une telle impression qu'à un moment, tout a disparu autour de moi. Perdue en mon Dieu, je ne sentais plus la présence d'aucune chose, sinon Dieu.
This experience marked the beginning of Marie-Eugenie's life of holiness. She experienced great turbulence in her youth. In a span of 5 years, she went through the loss of the family chateau with its acres of woods and open spaces, and the pain of her parents' separation. She had to move to Paris with her mother and was separated from her favorite brother, who moved to Metz with her father. And then, suddenly and very quickly, she lost her mother to the cholera epidemic. She was confused, lost, and so alone.
This is the case for many of our teenagers these days. There's a certain emptiness. We are all looking for something deeper, something more true, something lasting, which Marie-Eugenie found.
She became what God intended her to be, despite all the apparent obstacles. But then, that is when she became close to God.
He sent her several people who showed her the answers to her many questions. At a Lenten service Marie-Eugenie was attending, she was deeply moved by the sermon of Father Henri Lacordaire, the fiery preacher of the Basilica of Notre Dame. Seeking his counsel after his sermon, he advised her to pray and wait for the right time.
Ma vocation date de Notre-Dame. Je tiens à ma foi comme à quelque chose que j'ai découvert.
She was 20 years old when she met Abbé Théodore Combalot at the Church of Saint Eustache. With Abbé Combalot's guidance and direction, she gradually began to see the path of her vocation, which was to be foundress of a new religious congregation dedicated to education. Her vision was, to educate is to set a person free. To educate is to transform the world. In the early years of the congregation, God led her to Father Dalzon, who shared her faith and deep devotion to seek and fulfill God's plan.
Ce que je verrai éternellement dans le Père Dalzon, son amour pour Jésus-Christ, son dévouement à l'Église, son zèle des âmes. Sa forte direction a été un grand secours pour moi.
Another close friendship was that with Sister Therese Emmanuel, her co-foundress. Together, they wrote the congregation's Rule of Life.
The joy and the openness I found in the congregation. And maybe the fact that it is an international congregation is very important. People say that our communities and with the lay people who work with us, there is something of the joy of God who appear, and it's far beyond what we can do by ourselves.
This joy cannot help but be shared with others. It is the source and foundation of the spirit of social concern.
We are not cloistered. The absence of grills means openness to the misery around, contact with the underprivileged of society.
We are motivated by the desire to make Jesus Christ better known to all. Many among the wealthy families seek a strong intellectual formation for their daughters and look for schools that can give this.
We prepare women to fulfill their mission as true mothers.
Our mother foundress wanted to make mothers instrumental in molding strong Christian families. She wanted to instill in privileged women a love of learning and a love of simplicity.
Social consciousness, in the sense that we are indebted to one another, to help one another.
One trip to Malibay or Maricaban in first year marked me for the rest of my life. And you graduate from fourth year thinking, I have to do something about this.
Unang-una, nagkaroon ng respeto ang mga tao sa community. Ang community ng makaturing, naging matahimik din sila. Naging maganda ang samahan ng Assumption at saka ang community.
Pero yung masabi ka sa mga activity ng Assumption, isang big deal na yun sa akin. Parang, wow, iba na ako.
To want to make a difference in society, that's the mark of a true Assumption alone. To use my resources, my influence to effect change. To whom much is given, much is also expected.
Her gift of faith centered on Jesus Christ and the spirit of friendship and partnership is alive in the support extended to the sisters by their many friends and alumni.
Today the Assumption is present in different ways, different places. The big city, the small village, and the ways of the education are different also. But in all community, I can see how much this passion for the transformation according to the values of the gospel.
Marie Eugenie had a zest for life and liked to keep the passion burning. After I graduate, I'd like to keep striving and serving. Above all, I'd like to strengthen a deep faith that is rooted in Jesus Christ. MME is my inspiration.
Many times I can see Marie Eugenie to contemplate the Assumption today. The sisters and the lay people together to build the Assumption today. To share not only the apostolate, but to share the same spirituality.
Marie Eugenie lived long enough to pursue her goals. In death, as in life, her spirit was undaunted. God was her refuge and strength. Her gift to her daughters and sons today is her burning passion for His kingdom.
It is for you alone, oh my God, that I am here. You are the all of my life. My thoughts, my work, my affection are all for you. You are the all of my life, and although I can't always be at your feet, my life must be, in a way, a constant prayer. Prayer must be the soul of my life. May each one of my thoughts, of my occupations be directed towards the fullness with which I want to belong to you. It is for you alone, oh my God, that I am here. You are the all of my life. My thoughts, my work, my affection are all for you. You are the all of my life, and although I can't always be at your feet, my life must be, in a way, a constant prayer. Prayer must be the soul of my life. May each one of my thoughts, of my occupations be directed towards the fullness with which I want to belong to you. It is for you alone, oh my God, that I am here.